My name is Rachel Brenner. I'm 28, and I never expected my own sister to try and ruin my engagement. Again, right in front of my fiancé's family. If you've ever felt overlooked or betrayed by your own family, leave a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Like this video, and subscribe for more stories like this. I knew my sister would try something. She always did. But I thought maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. It was our engagement dinner. A warm, small gathering at a lakeside restaurant, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the water reflecting the last light of dusk. Chris had planned it all with such care. His parents flew in from Maine. My boss came. Even my high school English teacher sent flowers. My family, peck. They showed up late, loud, and visibly underdressed. My mom wore white. My dad complained about the drive, but it was Samantha, my older sister, who stole the show. Literally. She walked in like it was a fashion show, in a red sequined gown, whispering something to my cousin that made them both laugh before she even greeted me. 10 minutes later, she grabbed a glass and tapped it with her spoon. "Can I say something?" she asked, without asking. I froze. She launched into a toast, if you could call it that. "Marriage is hard," she said, "especially for someone like Rachel who's impulsive." Chuckles. Awkward glances. Chris's mom looked mortified. "She once dated a guy for 3 weeks and bought a puppy with him. That poor dog ended up at my house." More laughter. "Anyway, I hope Chris has more patience than we did." Silence. I stared at her. She raised her glass. "To second chances." That's when I stood. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't crying. I was done. "I thanked everyone for coming," said Chris, and I had an announcement of our own. I pulled out a small envelope and handed it to his mother. Inside was a wedding photo. Just the two of us. On a mountain in Iceland. Weeks ago. "We've been married since October," I said. Gasps. My mom blinked like she didn't understand. My dad stared at the photo like it was a forgery. And Samantha turned pale. That night, I made a list of 3 things they'd never see coming. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was upset, because I was thinking, processing. For years, I let them humiliate me. At dinners, at birthdays, at my own graduation, and always with a smile. Always telling myself, they don't mean it like that. They just don't understand me. They'll come around. But they never did. Chris sat beside me on the hotel bed, still in his dress shirt, gently holding my hand. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. I didn't tell him what I was really thinking, that this was never about one dinner. This was the culmination of 1,000 cuts. Because growing up, Samantha was the chosen one. She was born beautiful, charismatic, manipulative in a way that adults mistook for charm. At 12, she got her own bathroom. At 15, she had a car. When she skipped curfew, she was finding herself. When I came home 5 minutes late, I was untrustworthy. I worked through college. Samantha got hers paid for and dropped out. She moved back in, rent-free, with a new dream every 6 months. Wedding planning business, dog grooming, influencer. When she got engaged at 25, my parents paid for her wedding, a vineyard no less. She left the guy a month before the ceremony. They still praised her for her courage. I wasn't even invited to the bachelorette trip. They said it was just for her closest girls. My mother told me once, "She's just more sensitive than you. You've always been stronger." Translation? She needed support. I had to earn it. I remembered my 21st birthday. Samantha was mad at her ex that day. She showed up in tears, sat in the middle of my party, and made the whole night about her heartbreak. My mom actually thanked me later for being so mature about it. When Chris proposed, I didn't tell anyone for 2 weeks. I wanted the moment to be ours. When I finally did share it in the family group chat, Samantha replied with a thumbs-up emoji. No words, just that. Later, I found out she'd told our aunt that I was rushing into things. Same thing she said when I got promoted, when I bought my condo, when I adopted my dog. My milestones were always too fast or too much. Hers were brave, and yet I kept showing up. To holidays, to phone calls, to every fake "we're so proud of you" moment. But something changed when Chris and I got married in Iceland. We hadn't told anyone because we wanted peace. We wanted something that belonged only to us. Now I realized that silence was my first act of power, and they couldn't stand it. After the engagement dinner meltdown, the text started rolling in. "Mom, you blindsided us. That wasn't fair to your sister." "Dad, call me. We need to talk." "Samantha, wow, so secretive. I guess you don't need a maid of honor anymore." Not once did anyone ask how I felt, or why we did it that way, or even if I was happy. That was my breaking point. I didn't reply. Instead, I sat down and opened a blank email. Subject line, "Regarding my role in this family." I kept it short, measured. I'm no longer going to participate in dynamics that minimize or humiliate me. Chris and I are building our life together, one that doesn't require your approval or apology. I'm not angry. I'm just done. Please don't contact me unless it's to reflect, not deflect. I hit send, blocked Samantha's number, muted the family group chat, and for the first time in my life, I felt light, not happy, but free. The silence from them was loud. Then came the escalation. Samantha posted a passive-aggressive story the next day, a photo of a champagne glass with the caption, "To people who mistake secrecy for independence." My aunt texted me screenshots. Then, a week later, my mom called. From a different number. I picked up. I don't know why. "Rachel," she started, "we didn't raise you to be this cold." I nearly laughed. They raised me to smile through everything, to apologize when I was hurt, to let Samantha shine, even when she stepped on me to do it. I said nothing. She kept going. "Your father and I think you should come over, just to talk. You've always been the level-headed one." Of course, I was the peacekeeper, the fixer, the one who didn't make waves. Until now. I told her I'd think about it. Then Chris, who had been listening silently from the hallway, came over and sat beside me. "Do you actually want to go?" he asked. I shook my head, but something in me wanted closure. Not reconciliation, just a reckoning. So I said yes. We drove to my childhood home 2 days later. Same beige walls, same squeaky gate, same cold air when I stepped through the door. Samantha was there, sitting smugly in the kitchen. No hello. No eye contact. My dad gestured for us to sit. He started with small talk, then eased into guilt. "You've always been different, Rachel. Independent. But you need to understand, family is messy." I looked at him. "No," I said. "Family is honest. Messy is what happens when no one tells the truth." That's when Samantha snapped. "So what, you're better than us now? Because you married some guy on a glacier?" Chris didn't flinch. He just reached for my hand. I didn't respond to her bait. I turned to my parents. "You let her mock me." At my own engagement dinner, again, I let the silence hang. "You didn't protect me. You never have." My mother blinked. "She's your sister, and I'm your daughter." That's when I stood up. This wasn't a conversation, it was a test, and you all failed. The moment I stepped outside their house, I felt the shift. Like walking out of fog into sun. Like peeling off a sweater I didn't know was suffocating me. Chris opened the car door and kissed my forehead. Neither of us spoke on the drive home. We didn't need to. The next morning, I emailed our HR department and submitted a request. Not for time off. For relocation. A new division was opening up in Vancouver. More responsibility. Higher pay. More distance. 2 weeks later, I accepted the offer. 2 months later, I was gone. We bought a cozy townhouse with a rooftop garden. Chris found a new job within weeks. I started working with women-led startups in my spare time, mentoring, advising, investing. One night over dinner, Chris asked, "Do you regret not having the big wedding?" I smiled. "No. I think if we'd done that, I would have still been chasing their approval. This way, we made it ours." That's when I got the call. Blocked number. Voicemail. It was my mom. "Rachel, we just found out about your promotion and the move. We're surprised. Your sister is having a hard time adjusting. She thought you'd always be around." I saved the voicemail. Didn't respond. But it gave me an idea. Not for revenge. For clarity. I printed a wedding photo and mailed it to them. Just one. No note. No return address. Weeks passed. Then I saw it. Samantha posted a photo on her story. The same wedding image. No caption. Just a sad face emoji. And I realized something. My silence was louder than her spotlight. She'd built her life around being center stage. But the moment I stopped attending the show, she had no one left to perform for. Chris and I threw a small party in our new home, 10 guests. Laughter that echoed through the stairwell. No drama, no expectations. Only people who saw me, truly saw me. That was my quiet revenge. No confrontation, no schemes, just freedom. They say you can't choose your family, but you can choose which voices you let shape your life. And I chose mine. A month passed, then another, and the quiet became my new peace. No more birthdays spent pretending. No more dinners filled with invisible jabs. No more updates shared with people who only saw me as a shadow in Samantha's spotlight. But just because I walked away didn't mean they stopped trying. Around Valentine's Day, my mom emailed again. "Your sister is getting married this summer. For real this time. We'd like you to come. No drama, just family." I stared at the screen. No apology, no accountability, just an expectation that I'd play my part in the production again. I closed the email, marked it unread. Left it there like a reminder of who I used to be. Chris and I were planning our honeymoon then. Delayed, on purpose. Greece, small islands, markets, beaches, no Wi-Fi. But before we left, I got one more message. This time from Samantha herself. "Look, I don't care what you think, but I'm asking you directly, are you coming or not?" It wasn't an olive branch. It was a control grab, a test. She needed me there, not because she missed me, but because without me, there was no one to outshine. I replied with 3 words. "We're unavailable. Congratulations." She didn't respond, but the next day, I noticed she'd unfollowed me on every platform. No drama, huh? Tunt? I shrugged. While Samantha was planning a second wedding, I was invited to be on a leadership panel for women in tech. The same week her bridal shower was scheduled. I didn't post about it, but someone did, and it got shared, and shared again. 3 days before her wedding, I got a call from my aunt, one of the few relatives who'd always quietly cheered for me. "Did you know Samantha's crying?" she said. "She says you're making everything about you." I almost laughed. Then I said gently, "I haven't spoken about her in months. Maybe she's just realizing the stage feels emptier without someone to upstage." There was silence on the line. Then my aunt said, "Well, I think she finally knows you're not coming back." The week of her wedding arrived. I didn't check social media, didn't call, didn't look for updates, but others sent them anyway. A mutual friend messaged me, "Did you really skip Samantha's wedding?" She looked tense. Then came the photos, dozens of them, all from different angles, same emotion, strained. You could see it in her eyes, the way she leaned into the camera like it owed her something, the way no one stood too close. The comments were polite, but I knew her well enough to recognize the undertone. She wanted my absence to feel like defiance, but it looked like detachment, because I wasn't fighting, I wasn't missing, I was living. That same weekend, I was in Greece with Chris, wearing no makeup, drinking fresh juice under a white umbrella, laughing so freely that the waiter asked if it was our honeymoon. Chris looked at me, smiled, and said, "Actually, it's our peaceversary." And I knew exactly what he meant. We took a photo at sunset. Not posed, just us. Natural, close, radiant. I posted it on Monday. No tags, no caption, just a heart emoji. By noon, my cousin messaged me, "Girl, Samantha's spiraling. People are talking about your post more than her entire wedding content." That's when I realized she didn't just want her moment, she wanted mine to disappear. But the life I built was real, not curated, not conditional. And real things don't need to compete. That evening, I received one final message from my mom. "You could have softened the blow. She said your post ruined her wedding energy." I didn't reply, but I did reflect. For years, they made me feel like a spare, a backup dancer in her story. But now, without trying, my presence or absence defined the room. 2 months after her wedding, a handwritten letter arrived, not from my parents, not from Samantha, from my grandmother. She was always the quiet one, never interfered, never picked sides. But she watched. She wrote, "I saw how they treated you, and I see the life you've built now. Dignity looks good on you." It was 3 lines, but it undid years of doubt. I cried, not because I needed her approval, but because it was the first time someone from that side acknowledged what I had endured, what I had risen from. Later that night, I walked barefoot onto our rooftop patio. The sky was soft with stars. Chris wrapped a blanket around my shoulders. "I don't think I'll ever fully understand your family," he said. "You don't have to," I replied. "I think I finally stopped trying to." We toasted with chamomile tea and I whispered, "To the family you choose." Weeks turned into seasons. I continued speaking at conferences, started consulting quietly with young women who had been cast aside by their own families. They called it mentorship, but it felt more like healing an echo. Samantha never reached out again, but I'd hear about her, mostly through others. Always the same narrative: busy, chaotic, misunderstood, still in costume, still playing lead. But I was no longer in the audience, and that was enough, because the life I had now, love without performance, success without applause, peace without pretense, was worth everything I left behind. They said I'd regret not being part of their real family, but the truth was, I hadn't lost a family. I'd stepped out of a script, and I wrote my own. Have you ever had to walk away from people you once called family? Drop your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about reclaiming your power. Send this to someone who needs to know they're not alone.